Do you get excited on December 26th? You look back and say, 27, I'm looking forward to it. 2027, this will be a great new year. And what we say is, Happy New Year, right? And so we're all excited about the new year. But in the beginning of January, we lost Miguel and Jose Garza, which on the same day, Jose Garza was a student of mine when I was a chaplain at Pacific Christian High School. And Miguel was someone that worked here for 30 plus years, the same day. And then I was looking, then in February or March, my dad lost his wife. And he said, I need to get out of this house. I need to move. And my wife and I own the home that he's living in. And I said, okay, we'll work on it sometime in the spring, but right now you can't. So when I put the real estate and stuff like that to get this house sold, my dad goes, I'm not moving. I'm not going to move. And so issue family. Then that same month I was told that I need surgery to replace a valve in my heart. And so I'm going, man, does it ever stop? And it's interesting because you look at this and you think, okay, I can handle one of these problems, but not all three. Have you ever been that way? You're negotiating with God. God, I can handle one. I really can. And we hear the scripture, God's never going to give you something that you can't handle. And I'm telling God, I can't handle this. I can't deal with this. And so we look at this, and today as we continue this series, Grow Up, we're talking about growth when it comes to our physical bodies here. After sharing my little perfect storm, the first half of this year, I have been thinking about today's gospel in a very different, practical way. And most of us know what it feels like when we're rowing towards the wind. We use this analogy, how you doing? Man, I can't breathe. I'm underwater. The storms are hitting. We use that analogy all the time. And so the thing is, so we know that we're going to go through storms. We're going to go through difficulty. And so what happens is, how do we deal with going through these difficult times? And we know what it feels like when all of a sudden you're just pushing and trying to get your way out, but all of a sudden you feel a pressure pushing back. And so we try to keep moving forward. We try to put a strong face on ourselves. We try to find this hope that we're looking for, where one problem becomes two problems become 5 problems, and we start wondering how much we can handle. And this is where the disciples were today in the gospel. Because about 3 weeks ago, we talked about how Jesus lost John the Baptist. It was his favorite cousin. And then how all of a sudden last week we saw where he saw the compassion for the crowds, and he fed 5,000 of them. So now what we're discovering, he says, look, disciples, I need some time with God. So you go on the boat and go. I'll meet you. So he said, I'm going to pray. Now, some way, somehow, that era that we're looking in the Word of God, they didn't have satellite. They didn't have weathermen that could tell you, hey, there's a storm brewing, you should go in the storm. No, they just got in there and went. And then all of a sudden, they weren't afraid when the wind started a little, or the waves started getting big. And then all of a sudden, the waves, if we apply this to our life spiritually, then all of a sudden you can tell. Like when you're dealing with a problem, you can go, I can deal with it. Then the problem gets bigger. Then the storm gets louder. Then the wind starts blowing. And so we spend hours of rowing in the dark of our lives. Now follow me here. And Matthew says the boat was battered by the waves. The word Matthew uses could also mean tormented. Their bodies were worn out and tormented by the storm as well. They are doing everything they know how to do, but they are getting nowhere in the situation. And I think most of us know exactly what we're talking about here, what I'm talking about today, where you're not getting anywhere in this. We live in anxious times, don't we? I mean, it's interesting. Every day we hear about crisis, another tragedy, another conflict, another reason to worry. You know, when I go and say, you know what, I'm done with TV, and then I have those Amber Alerts. Have you seen those Amber Alerts? Bzz, 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 and they're going on your phone, and you go, oh my goodness, and you're looking at that a child was abducted by a stranger or something, and then you're stressing out about that, and then bzz, senior citizens, person with dementia, can't find the person with dementia. Then your phone is just like constant stress. And so social media has a steady stream of fear and anger and outrage because that's what keeps us paying attention. So follow me. Even when life around us is calm, our nervous system often are not. Many of us carry anxiety in our bodies without even realizing it. Our shoulders stay tight, our jaws stay clenched, our breathing becomes shallow, our stomach knots up. And after a while, we begin to think this tension in our bodies is just normal. See, it's interesting. When I had physical therapy for my back, she told me, and I've told you this many times, your body doesn't lie. You may say it lie, but your body doesn't. And so the way we walk, just like, how you doing? And we go like this, doing good. You know how we do that? Because of stress and tension. That you're just going, oh man, I'm just tensing up. Oh, you're doing good. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Our bodies are saying, no, I'm not doing fine. And so God created our bodies amazing ability to respond to danger. It's called fight, flight, or fawn response. See, follow me. When someone's frightened, it happens, our hearts beat faster, our muscles tighten, our breathing changes. Those are gifts. They're there to help us survive real danger. The problem comes when our bodies never get the message that the danger has passed because it keeps getting bombarded with new danger messages. Because of this, more and more people know what it's like to experience panic attacks. So therefore, when I go, okay, this situation's over, but our minds worry about the next one. And so our minds are creating this scenario that we have no control over, and then all of a sudden we're starting to worry again about something else, and doing this. Many people today live as they are rowing into the wind every day, every hour. Even when we're sitting quietly at home, our bodies are preparing for the next big crisis. Unless we go to massages. You know, my wife and I are members of Massage Envy. You know that. And we found a great masseuse. So I go once a month. Jennifer, well, I take that back. I go once every 3 months. It's great. I don't know if you've had a massage. And it's the best thing. You just feel so relaxed. The problem is you have to get up. And then all of a sudden, when you get up and you go, oh man, this is great. Then all of a sudden, you know, our Massage Envy is by the pavilion. You open the door and you're blind because you were in darkness all this time. Then all of a sudden, you're trying to get to your car without getting hit. Then all of a sudden, you're stressing out. And I go, I'm just as tense as I was when I just spent $110. You know, within 30 minutes. It doesn't last much. And so when we look at this, we check what happens in this story. And I want you to understand this. Then in the middle of the storm, the disciples see someone walking towards them. Now understand this. This is where I can really relate. They did not see Jesus. What it says is they saw a ghost. So basically their filters are filtering on fear. They're focused on fear. So they don't even recognize the presence of Jesus coming towards them at first, right? And so all of a sudden they're freaking out. They're trying to go, this anxiety is building up. Then in the middle of the storm, when all our minds become, we imagine the worst case scenario. Now, am I the only one that builds a worst case scenario? Okay, it's good. Just don't leave me hanging here. Okay, we expect rejection before acceptance. We expect failure before hope. We expect disaster before grace. Fear becomes a lens through which we see our world through. We begin to believe that every shadow hides a problem. Jesus speaks into this fear with simple words. Now this is interesting. In Matthew 14:27, he says, "Be encouraged, it's me. Don't be afraid." So right away they recognized his voice, right? And so they knew it. The Greek word even says richer. Greek words are even richer. Jesus says this, "Take heart, I am. Do not be afraid, I am." The same word God spoke to Moses at the burning bush. Jesus first reminds the disciples that they are not alone. And from that place of presence, they face the storm together. He does that before he calms the sea. And I wonder if those are the very words our body needs to hear today. I am here. I am present. You are not alone. And sometimes we spend so much energy, God, you need to change the circumstances. And it's interesting because, or we need to realize God's presence in the middle of these circumstances. Two different things. You look at when Jesus appears to the disciples. They were screaming, they were yelling. He didn't change the circumstances right away. They recognized his presence in the midst of the storm. It's a big difference here. And so there's things in this situation I'm going, God, I just need this dealt with now. And then his presence comes. I'm not recognizing his presence because I think it's worst case scenario. Because I have those filters of fear instead of filters of God's presence. And so this is where it gets crazy. Yet before he sinks, Peter does something crazy. I don't even know what the guy was thinking, but he says, if it's you, then call me out. And so it doesn't make any sense to me that Peter actually walks on the water. But usually you forget this part. What happens? Peter starts sinking, so he remembers his failure. To think about it, his body responds to Jesus. His body seems to know instinctively that it needs to be near Jesus. He doesn't hesitate or stop to think about it. His body just moves forward toward the Lord. Peter's faith was in his feet more than in his mind. Now, follow me. When we were at, I think it was Canyon, okay, help me, honey, Canyonland, right? We were in Canyonland. It's in Utah. So, Canyonland, it's not as deep as the Grand Canyon, but it's twice as big as the Grand Canyon. It's called Canyonland, Utah. And so when I was walking towards the edge, because I was curious to see how deep it is. Now, this is interesting. Your body responds more than your mind does. Because my steps started getting shorter, and I started doing this, and my legs started shaking. My body was reacting to this fear that my mind hasn't even told me about. And then, so I think I'm on the edge. I was 30 feet away from the edge, okay? And so what happens, our bodies do that. Our bodies recognize fear much quicker than we do. It's almost to the point where, I don't know about you, but when you're around a group of people, and all of a sudden you're feeling something within your body, this is not a safe place. Do you see what I mean? The body is responding to it. And so the body is much smarter than sometimes the mind. We're not built to jump out of planes. We're not built to do this. We know people overcome their fear. I totally get it. But our bodies are there to protect us. And so our bodies often know when it's time to rest before the brain tells us to put our vacation on the calendar. And when we ignore our bodies, which a lot of times I do, our bodies will completely remind us, I don't have the energy to do this anymore. And then all of a sudden our immune system kicks in and we can't do it anymore because we're sick. Or for me, when my back is completely out and I'm going, oh man, I had a back spasm because I've ignored my body. See, something changes. Matthew says this, when Peter saw the strong winds, he became frightened. Now notice how about the storm has changed. Nothing about the storm has changed. Peter changed his focus. His attention moves from Jesus to everything that could go wrong. He was focused on Jesus' presence. He heard his voice. Then all of a sudden he's walking on water. Then all of a sudden his mind and then went, oh crap, these waves are huge. Then all of a sudden he started sinking. Prayer and worry is the same emotion. It's focus. You know what I mean? And so when you focus on something so much, it becomes real when it comes to problems. When I focus more on Christ, He is real. And so I have the peace even when I don't have the circumstances that give me peace. And so this is where it gets really deep for me. And I need to pay attention to how Jesus moves. So, watch this. His mind begins doing what anxious minds do. He starts calculating, starts predicting. He starts imagining every possible bad outcome. He starts rehearsing every possible disaster. His brain starts to think, and his body begins to sink. I wonder how often this happens to us. We can be doing fine until our minds begin running ahead of the present moment. There's times they go, how was your vacation? It was okay because my mind's going beyond vacation. My mind is going, what do I need to do when I get back? So I'm not enjoying the vacation. And the vacation's good. But somehow my mind is not in the present. And Jesus makes it clear, do not worry about tomorrow. Today has enough of itself. Right? I knew that. I'm 63 years old. I should know this. I should live this. But man, I can go, when my mind goes nuts. See, follow me. We lose touch with the embodied I am of the present. One of the greatest invitations of the Christian life is learning to live where Christ actually meets us. Christ is always present here and now. The present moment is where grace lives. Christ speaks, where love can be given and received. An anxious mind keeps trying to live somewhere else. Jesus keeps inviting us back to where our feet are, to the next breath, to the next moment. We are invited back to the quiet embodied assurance, I am here. It's today. I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm not homeless, I need to enjoy today. What's the biggest regret of senior citizens? Number one, is they took for granted what they were when they were young. That's the number one regret. Their health and all this stuff. We're healthy. And so we have to enjoy the moments of life. And so follow me. That may be one of the most beautiful words in the whole story. Immediately, the grace of God moves towards us even faster than fear. When we feel ourselves sinking beneath worry and grief and uncertainty, Christ does not stand in distance waiting for us to get ourselves together. He reaches towards us. I don't know, you can't swim if you're trying to reach someone. So there's a desperateness in Peter right now. And you would think, because I would have done it, if I was Jesus, I would say, you know what, it's your fault. Why are you doing this? Why didn't you trust, and all this stuff. It says the word immediately, he reached out and grabbed him. Immediately. You know, we're the type to go, hey, you got to live with your consequences. But immediately, he reached out. It's very interesting to me because this is something your pastor needs to apply to his life, because I enjoy emotional roller coasters. They're so fun. And you know what's interesting? They're not fun. You know, roller coasters, they start at the same place they stop, right? So my wife doesn't ride the roller coaster with me. She'll stand there and wait. And I'll go up, I have these extreme highs, and then I'll get dizzy, all this, and she'll stand there and go, was that fun or not? And I go, yes. So, and I'll ride it again. And I'll ride it again, and I'll get so dizzy and sick of this, but I don't get off. I don't get off this emotional roller coaster. And then I think back at the storms I shared about earlier today, that sometimes the situations that we face are resolving. They're not resolved, but they are on the process of being resolved. And so others are still unfolding. Life is not suddenly easy, yet something inside of me has been changing. It's perspective. Because I can change my perspective much quicker than we can change our circumstances, right? I am learning to pay attention to my body. When my shoulders tighten, I ask what they're trying to tell me. When my breathing becomes shallow, I slow down. When my mind begins rehearsing every possible disaster, I remember Peter. The more I worry, the faster I sink. The more I return to this moment, the more I notice that Jesus has been here all along, quietly saying, I am here, I am present, you are not alone. That is the good news for all of us today. The storms of life are going to come. We already know that. Life doesn't get easier the older we become. Jesus never promised that every storm would disappear. He shows us that he will come to us in the middle of the storms. As we grow in faith, we slowly learn to trust what our bodies can teach us. We soften our shoulders, we unclench our jaws, we breathe deeply, we plant our feet on the ground, we remember that Christ is already closer than our next breath. Then we hear the voice again, be encouraged, it's me, don't be afraid. As those words sink from our minds into our bodies, we discover the deepest miracle is not simply surviving the storm. The deepest miracle is becoming people who know in every part of ourselves that you and I are never, ever alone. Amen. May God bless you, and may God bless his word.